Imagine driving an aircraft and unconsciously forgetting how to land. Good thing if you're flying with someone, but take Kevin Henry differently. In 2006, the pilot of a U-2 spy plane realized something was seriously wrong just 2 hours into a regular surveillance flight. Kevin Henry, a veteran U-2 pilot, was overcome by sudden exhaustion, respiratory problems, and hallucinations. But as his mental faculties rapidly deteriorated, Kevin opened the visor on his pressurized helmet, which is one of the riskiest things one could do while flying at 70,000 feet. Why did he do it? It will surely blow your mind. Welcome to another episode brought to you by High Technology. If you are new from this channel, be part of us by subscribing so you won't miss any future contents. As of today, come and explore with us a pilot mission that caught itself in a great danger and challenge. Like any other mission, Kevin Henry's began with him donning his pressurized full-body suit. The U-2 pilot suit is essentially a spacesuit, similar to what astronauts wear, because traveling at the edge of space can cause your blood to boil due to the extremely low air pressure, literally. In addition, an airtight suit can grow quite warm very rapidly. For this reason, the suit is connected to a cooling system from the moment the pilot dons it until it is hooked into the cooling system within the aircraft. However, the spacesuit restricts the pilot's mobility when fully inflated. The U-2 cabins are pressurized in part because of this, allowing the suit to only be partially pressurized when necessary. Additionally, the suit incorporates an automatic mechanism to fully pressurize in the case of a sudden loss of cabin pressure. However, the cabin pressure alone does not produce the friendliest surroundings. The cabin pressure at 70,000 feet is comparable to that at 29,000 feet, or what climbers experience at the summit of Mount Everest. However, the air is so thin at these heights that just a third of the oxygen that you and I are currently breathing in is drawn in with each breath. For this reason, those who summit Everest need oxygen tanks to ensure their safety. This explains why U-2 pilots must also breathe pure oxygen while flying. But it does not explain why U-2 pilots begin pre-breathing oxygen at least an hour before takeoff, before they even enter the cockpit. There are two issues that high-altitude pilots and scuba divers have in common. Issues 1 and 2. You simply urinate if you have to. Of course, pilots have a unique device that assists them in capturing the urine. And yes, there is a female version as well. But for number 2, you simply have to hold it in, which is manageable for a 1-hour underwater dive but impractical during a 9-hour journey. Because of this, U-2 pilots follow a high-protein, low-residue diet 24 hours before takeoff to ensure that everything they consume can be virtually entirely absorbed by the digestive system. They can also eat and drink through a tube that passes through a port in their helmet during the journey. Decompression sickness is the real danger that U-2 pilots and scuba divers encounter. The pressure inside a soda bottle is quickly released when the cap is removed, allowing the CO2 that had been previously dissolved in the liquid under pressure to escape in the form of bubbles. Similar to this, our biological fluids and tissues typically contain inert gases, primarily nitrogen. But when the pressure around them suddenly decreases, whether it be the water pressure as scuba divers surface or the air pressure as U-2 pilots ascend, those inert gases begin to boil and begin to leave the body in the form of bubbles. In the human body, this can result in severe pain, bruising, brain damage, and without treatment, death. Not only U-2 pilots are at risk for decompression sickness, the F-22 Raptor can fly at altitudes at up to 60,000 feet while cruising. However, one of the key discoveries in the fight against decompression sickness for high-altitude pilots was the realization that inhaling 100% oxygen before flight might wash out the majority of the body's remaining nitrogen. The nitrogen that is stored in fat and tissue enters the bloodstream during oxygen pre-breathing, travels to the lungs, and then departs the body during exhalation. That person is not just lazing around. To guarantee a secure trip, he is pre-breathing oxygen. Additionally, U-2 pilots engage in improved pre-breathing, which starts with a 10-minute workout for their upper and lower bodies. Major muscle groups receive more blood flow and oxygen as a result, which has been shown to accelerate the pace of denitrogenation. Less likelihood of bubbles forming during the regular 9 to 12 hour missions that U-2 pilots fly thanks to this body's removal of nitrogen. Naturally, they continue to breathe only pure oxygen during the voyage. Now, going back to Kevin, who as we know now, was suffering from acute decompression sickness. Naturally, he was unaware of it at the time, but when he unexpectedly puked inside his sealed helmet, things took a nasty turn. He was no longer able to see, and the tiny holes that allow air into his helmet were also blocked. He was forced to remove his helmet's visor in an effort to remove all of the gunk. However, he was breathing air that was only compressed to 29,000 feet, which contained almost no oxygen, while the helmet was open. Kevin Severus' situation was like this. Colors became black and white due to his deteriorating eyesight, and in his words, none of it made any sense. He finally requested assistance from his home base at Beale Air Force Base after realizing something was seriously wrong. The team at the Air Force facility quickly realized how serious Kevin's predicament was. He couldn't recall how to input the essential information in the autopilot to navigate himself back to his house since he had forgotten how to utilize the onboard computer system. Kevin was flying close to nations that were not friendly, where an out-of-control U-2 jet could cause significant issues, which further complicated matters. The only alternative was to convince him to land at an airbase in the middle of eastern country. The nation's name is still a secret. While Kevin was drifting in and out of consciousness, the home base managed to instruct him just enough to at least aim his aircraft in the right direction. Thankfully, 2 fighter fighters from the host country flew out to guide the U-2 plane for the final hour of its journey. According to reports, Kevin was occasionally only a few feet over the ground, yet he managed to land the plane without incident. Let me now explain why this is nothing short of a miracle to you. A pilot who was suffering from severe decompression sickness and was only partially awake was able to fly back to base for 6 hours and land with level wings. You see, landing a U-2 aircraft is a difficult and tough process even on a good day. An additional pilot follows the U-2 in a chase car and relays the information they need to land as they approach the runway after a very lengthy trip. Additionally, the U-2 only has 2 sets of wheels that are arranged in line, much like a bicycle. A poor landing might result in the aircraft toppling to one side or the other with a wingspan of more than 100 feet. Kevin was soon moved to get medical assistance after arriving. Examinations revealed that nitrogen bubbles had formed in his brain, impairing his capacity to operate, and that he had experienced a complete frontal lobe attack. Even though he recovered to the point where he could only return to flying the U-2 after 6 months, he was immediately grounded forever. Up until 2002, there had never been an instance of decompression sickness that was severe enough to interfere with U-2 operations. But there were 16 documented serious instances between 2002 and 2009. Kevin was one of the 9 pilots who experienced severe symptoms and reported having sustained or permanent brain injury. A study that examined 40 years worth of medical information from the military and was published in 2011 attempted to explain this abrupt spike. According to the study, there were 3 main causes for the rise in cases. First, there were 122% more U-2 tails than there were during the Cold War due to the U-2 pilots flying more frequently. In addition, each sortie included lengthier missions. Most flights during the Cold War lasted fewer than 8 hours, while today they can go up to 12. Due to these 2 variables, people were exposed to potentially harmful settings more frequently and for longer periods of time. Finally, the missions themselves have changed. Pilots had to perform more tasks during ground combat support missions in Afghanistan during the 2000s than during Cold War reconnaissance operations, including entering navigational data and changing sensors. Even a seemingly insignificant move like extending an arm to turn on a light can significantly raise the risk of decompression sickness at those high altitudes, according to the study. The US Air Force handled this issue carefully after they became aware of it. The U-2 aircraft's modifications to nearly quadruple the cabin pressure were made as part of the Cabin Altitude Reduction Effort or CARE program. This indicates that the perceived altitude in the cockpit decreased from 29,000 feet to 15,000 feet. In essence, they descended from the summit of Mount Everest to the base camps. Since then, no serious cases of decompression sickness have been documented according to the Air Force. The problem is that pilots put a lot of pressure on themselves to finish their missions, and occasionally they put their own safety before the needs of the operation. As a result, not all cases of decompression sickness may be recorded. What are your thoughts on this one? Would you dare try to fly with a spy plane? How would you handle it differently? Share it with us in the comments down below. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you can always get to watch more incredible videos like this. This has been High Technology, serving you the best and cutting edge contents on the highest form of technology available on the planet. Until then, see you!